Welcome to Curated by Culture. I'm your curator, Cassandra. Thank you as always for joining me. How's your head? How's your heart? Try to sit in the moments because I feel like we are in a shift, right? The world is in a shift. We're seeing so many things happen, so many things take place, but people don't understand that. And everybody's trying to live as normal of a life as possible. And you're probably, if you're capable of feeling, I should say, if you're capable of feeling, you're probably feeling a weird shift. I was talking to a visual artist friend of mine recently, and he was saying how he's having a hard time creating art. And I said, well, are you sitting in the moment? Are you understanding the feeling of the moment? And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, are you just trying to create art because that's what's expected of you? Or are you really feeling what's happening around us right now? And he kind of thought about it for a second and he was like, oh, no, I've just been busy. I've been making art. I've been doing commissions. I've been doing this. And now, as I sit down to create something that moves me, I'm having a hard time. And that's because you're not really sitting with the moment. We're not feeling the feelings we need to feel. People are dying, you know? You should feel sad. And if you don't, I don't want to say you lack empathy, but you've been conditioned to survive. You've been programmed to survive. So you might just keep going. You might just be part of hustle culture right now, right? Create content. That's what they want you to do. That's what feeding the machine looks like. Feeding a machine looks like putting out content, creating, pushing when you're not really feeling it. And as artists, we have to really feel our work in order for it to be something we want to put out there and we want to share. So I'm urging people more, even if you can't check in on your friends in this moment, if you can't check in on other people, check in on yourself, but sit with the moment. Sit with the feelings of the moment because there is a shift happening. And it is important to understand the shift, to feel the shift, to sit with the shift, because you're going to need it later on. You're going to need these same feelings of empathy and emotion later on. For the artists, if you're unable to create, this is why the moment is calling for possibly a pause and better understanding, or in order for you to feel it and to create probably masterpieces. So check in on yourself. How's your head? How's your heart? It's important that we do that. As I sat down to record this episode, in my head, it's kind of like a part 2 of the love of money. But in my heart, it is love and awareness, right? I'm trying to deliver everything in a loving way. It's always been what I've tried to do since season 1. The people who get to talk to me on a regular basis get to hear the unfiltered version. So sometimes I'm like, please forgive me for my harsh delivery, seriously, but this is the truth, right? I'm always going to try to share the truth. And I always say, like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. People can receive messages better in love than they can receive it when you just throw it at them. So I don't know. We'll see where it ends in 30 minutes. I didn't have enough time to talk about the love of money, but I also really strongly want to talk about awareness. And I kind of feel like they both go hand in hand. So maybe this is part 2, or maybe this is a new episode. We'll find out when I title it. Um, to get in further on what I was talking about in the love of money, and that's the first time I actually re-listened to one of my episodes because I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat myself. But where I talked about us Black people being the contributors to $1 trillion of goods and services in an economy that, it's like, where do we even have $1 trillion, right? Because we're watching so much more homelessness. We're watching so much food insecurity. We're watching so many people who have nothing perish or, get consumed by the system. But yet we have $1 trillion to donate to a system that does not care about us. And we are not aware or awake enough to realize it for ourselves, right? Because truth be told, we like to look fly. That's a reality. That's just who we are. But that's been since the beginning of time. Like, I look at my own mother. My parents were immigrants to this country 50 plus years ago. And they came with nothing, right? My mom came with a degree in nursing and had a nanny there, but here she had nothing. She barely spoke English. And I watched her work 3 jobs to put my sisters and I through private school, to make sure we took piano lessons, and to always make sure we were dressed to the nines. Even with nothing, we were dressed. We were always clean. And so that's in us. That's in our DNA. So I understand that. But you have to understand what you're giving your money to, right? So when I talked about LVMH on that little TikTok thing that I created, that's also on Instagram. Well, I talk about that last week, where I talked about, like, this man is a billionaire. He is going to make sure his children receive his money, and they will then in turn become billionaires. But you got to watch their strategy. How do they become billionaires? It's not off the backs of their own people. I promise you. It's off the backs of us. He took Virgil Abloh, who, was uh, a predominant fashion figure for our community, and he made him the head of Louis Vuitton. And in turn, Louis Vuitton went crazy. He tripled his net worth because of Virgil. With Virgil's passing, I guess there was an opening. He moved around. He tried to do some things. And now he's taken Pharrell, another Black man, and he stuck him in front of us. And we will run out and we will buy anything Pharrell puts his name on. Pharrell took a Timberland boot, a staple in the Black community, especially if you're from New York, and he stuck the LV stamp on it. And I'm sure that will sell like hotcakes, because you guys are not aware of what's happening. Sure, Pharrell's going to make some money. Okay, great for that guy. No disrespect to him, though. Nah, let me not say that. Disrespect to him, because he recently performed at an event called Friends for the IDF, which is the Israel Defense Force or whatever. They're not defense, it's an offense. So I call it the IOF. He performed for them, helping them to raise $60 million to continue killing brown people. He's literally like, I don't care. As long as I get paid, I'll do it. I don't care if they're killing people that look like me. You have to stop and ask yourself, is that what I want to support? Because like I've said before, if we don't think they're not going to spin the block, they will. They have, in 1985, they bombed people that looked like us in 1985 in Philadelphia. No remorse, no nothing. It's like, no big deal. And they just kept going. They will spin the block on us. Cop City in Atlanta is just the starting point. They're doing the same thing in Baltimore. They're doing the same thing in some part of Texas, all predominantly Black neighborhoods. Think about why. Do a little critical thinking for yourself. You have to stop watching what the news is telling you, or stop watching what your favorite celebrities are telling you, and start digging in and doing a little bit more research to understand what's really happening. So to go back to the money topic, when we stop and we think about these things, we have to say, well, how do we do that in our own community? Why wouldn't Pharrell say, you know what, let me work with Rich Fresh, or let me work with Fenoel, or let me work with other Black designers to prop up their names? Why keep propping up Gucci, Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, all these brands that literally all the wealth goes to one family, the Arnault family? And no disrespect to them, I don't know them, but I know that they support genocide. I know that they're making their money off the backs of people. The same people who own those brands own De Beers. We knew about blood diamonds years ago, yet we still bought into the system because we didn't think it was a big deal. The older I get, the more research I do, I'm realizing people are literally dying for these things that we feel like we must have. These things that they sold us as luxury. Look at Elon Musk, another unfortunate billionaire. It's so unfortunate that he's a billionaire, because he is the most selfish person I've ever had to read about. I don't know him, so I can't say I met him, but he's the most selfish person. He's made billions of dollars, and again, he wants to fake touch the moon. He created cars that He sold you all as a luxury. And my people, you bought into it. You really believe that Teslas were a luxury. Those are the trashiest. One, they cause cancer. Two, we're watching the temperatures drop and these cars are not starting. That to me is the opposite of any sort of luxury. Luxury to me is heated seats and a car that starts when I get into it. And three, and the biggest and the most important of them all, they're killing Black people in the Congo so that you can have these vehicles. All because he loves money. And so did his father before him. He's not a self-made millionaire or billionaire. There's nothing ethical about what he does, his business. He took Twitter, which was a great tool, and turned it into trash. And you all are still on there. You all will still buy Tesla stocks and you will still buy Teslas because somebody tricked you into believing that they're hot cars. And I don't know who the first Black person to purchase one of those Teslas and sell it to people, who that person is, but shame on you. Shame on you. The problem in this country is not that we need electric vehicles. I promise you that. It's that we need better infrastructure. Electric vehicles will never help us. Not in the way that they want them to. And if that is the case, and if it is for us to produce electric vehicles, why shouldn't the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, why shouldn't they be the ones to profit off of it? If that's the case, we should be looking at Congo's the richest country in the world. Is it not? Yes, it is. I can answer the question for you. It is. But the Black people there are not. They list the Congo as one of the fifth poorest nations. It's not poor. It's not poor. It's that the system that was created this way must keep Black people down. We are the true innovators of so many things. So many things that you use every single day came from Black people, but not a single one of them is the billionaire of it, is living off of it, has a family legacy to leave behind of it. We must become more aware of the power of our dollar and the power of our culture. We create culture. Everything is created around us, but we are not aware enough to realize that we are not the ones profiting off of it. And especially Black women. Oh my goodness. Like we're watching now, right? Harvard, which is, they consider it one of the most prestigious universities in the world, right? Harvard, their now resigned president, Dr. Claudine Gay, someone who could have shifted the needle the first time they ever had a Black woman in there. Again, in 2024, the first of anything is still wild to me, but I'm gonna let it slide. They had someone in there who could have created some real change in a situation that, in an institution that probably really needs it. They tried everything to get her to resign, but her resilience, she kept going. And then they were like, oh, she's plagiarizing. Eventually, she said enough is enough. And this isn't the first time. It happened to Nicole Hannah-Jones. If you don't know who she is, she's the creator of the 1619 Project. Again, making us aware, telling the truth. And what did they do? They condemned her. They called it critical race theory. They labeled it critical race theory. It's not critical race theory. It's the truth. Someone needed to bring the truth to light, and she did that. And because of it, she lost her position as a professor at UNC. I believe she was going for tenure, and she lost it. Because God forbid a Black woman come in here and tell people the truth and help to spread awareness. And again, it's not the first, it's not the last, and it's not going to be the last. Just recently, Dr. Bonnie Bailey, Lincoln University, same thing. She endured hours and weeks and months of threats and threats and threats to the point that she just took her life recently. Please look it up, do the research. There's a fear in us moving forward or moving up because they realize, one, if they tell the truth, they make people aware and we look bad. Two, if they tell the truth and make people aware, people will start to dig themselves out of this mental slavery that we've put them in, and we will see them literally bringing us down. We'll see them bring us down. We can be the change we want to see, we have to choose to be aware enough to create the change, though. And that is our biggest problem. We look to celebrities and we look to other people to lead us, and it's weird. No one person should have that much wealth. That's just the reality. But the system is created so that we're watching now that five white men since 2020 have tripled or doubled their net worth. So they were billionaires then, they're double billionaires now. What are you going to do with all that money? Sure, you can leave it for your kids, but that money will surpass them and surpass them. And we watch it now, and we watch that as being what we should all be striving for, when that's not what we should be striving for. Now, listen, again, I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying we shouldn't have nice things. If it has always been your dream to have a big house, buy your big house. But you have to know the limit. You have to know how to set your children up to keep your legacy going. If it's a money legacy, you also have to know how to help your sisters and brothers in humanity, other people. Those five men can literally end homelessness. They can end food insecurity. They can end any sort of poverty, but they choose not to. They want more and more money. Jeff Bezos is doing nothing with that money. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk literally wanted to fake touch the moon. They got a lot of money. They're like, I want to touch the moon. They didn't turn around and say, hey, I want to help people. I want to do this or I want to do that. No, they didn't do that. And we do have some Black billionaires who have tried things here and there, but they're not true to the cause. And I say that, with all the love I can muster up for them. Beyonce and Jay-Z don't need any more money, right? That's a fact. Their kids are all good, set for life. If they set their kids up smartly, their kids will also be set for life, or whatever time we have left on this planet. When do you stop and say, okay, let me stop selling out my community? Let me stop turning my back on my community? I kind of lost respect for Jay-Z when he went into the NFL. At first, I thought it was strategic. I thought it was smart strategy. But as time has gone on, it's not. It's not. Which leads me to my next point, Deion Sanders, right? Deion Sanders, another, I don't know if he was a billionaire, maybe a millionaire in his career, but he had an opportunity to take his brilliance to an HBCU, and he did. And I was excited because I thought this is a shift that the HBCUs need. The NFL and the NBA is riddled with Black women and men playing, and the WNBA, playing the sports that America loves. These are American pastimes. Hence why you see athletes with $1 million contracts and all these other things. And I think that's great. I think it's a wonderful thing. The owners have double, triple that. What good does it do to have so much talent within our communities if we don't bring that knowledge, that education and that brilliance to our Black schools? The HBCUs could be thriving. And he was there for a minute, but then he decided to leave because somebody offered him more money. The love of money, greed, caused him to turn his back on his community. No disrespect to him. Listen, I say this all the time. Everybody should do what works for them. But the second you stop doing it in a way that helps your community, I think the community should say, oh, okay, cool. We can turn our backs on you too. And I don't know what the record is. I don't follow the NFL. I haven't followed the NFL since the Colin Kaepernick situation. And I'm really sad that so many of us didn't stick with that, because it would have been very telling. It would have helped maybe shift. But because so many people kept watching and kept tuning in, it made no difference. And understand something. These NFL owners and the NBA owners, they don't care about these Black men. They don't care about these Black women. They don't care about any of them, to be honest, but really don't care about you. Those NFL contracts are trash. To them, it's all about a dollar. Truly, that's it. Greed. We have the power to change that. We have the power to change the way the world works and the system that was created. Because again, a lot of people like to say it's a broken system. It's not a broken system. It was created that way. It was created to keep us down here. And once they started realizing how much culture came from us, they were like, well, how do we capitalize off of that? So like I said, they stick Black people on their ads and they put them in their faces, but that's really not truly who they care about. They care about your money. They don't care about you. And why would you go someplace where you are not you are tolerated but you're not appreciated anyway? Pharrell can make all he can make all the announcements about helping other Black creatives, but you already took all of that away by playing their game and by doing everything for them. Now you're selling, they're cheap. Mind you, these luxury brands are not really luxury. They are finding the cheapest products that they can to create these things for you, and you are wearing them because somebody sold it to you as luxury. There's no free thinking happening because no one is aware. It started at birth, by the way. You know, you were born into a situation that your parents probably were also born into, right? And so as a result, this is what they do. They stick you into a school system where they're going to tell you whatever they want to tell you, right? They told us Christopher Columbus discovered America. Okay. So they stick you in these situations where you are here for 6 hours doing what they tell you to do. And I'm not against school. I'm for schooling. I think it's great, but proper schooling. Life skills are part of schooling too, right? So, but that's a topic for another day. They put you in a school system where you would sit there for 6 to 8 hours a day. Why? Because, and they did it to you, what? Kindergarten through 12th grade or first grade through 12th. Because then they want to put you in another system where you will work for them for 8 hours a day. So now you've been conditioned. For the first big and most important part of your life, you are conditioned to work for to sit in a school system or a classroom or a building with fluorescent lights for 8 hours a day, only to grow up to go and sit in the same type of a situation for 8 hours a day. And to exchange your most valuable resource of time for money that they're going to tax so that you can buy the things you need so they can tax it. Remember, I talked about this already. It's all a vicious cycle. This is the algorithm of your life. I used to call it the hamster wheel. Now I call it the algorithm of your life. And if you stay on it and you do what they want you to do, they got you. They have you exactly where they want you. But because we're not aware enough of what's going on around us, we don't understand that. You know, I think a lot of people think that it was really easy for me I used to have a corporate job. My daughter was like 1 or 2. It didn't last very long, but it seemed like a simple system, right? It was like, oh, you know, get a job, you put your daughter through school or you do whatever, but it didn't work. It didn't coincide. Like, how am I supposed to be able to be the best mother to my daughter if I have to work for 8 hours a day while she's at school and then she comes home and now I have to figure out how to do all these other things and you only have so much time for sleep? It didn't work for me as a creative. And so I quit. But, you know, when you make a decision like that, it comes with some fear, of course. You know, of course, it comes with fear. It's like, where's my next paycheck coming from? Am I going to be able to afford my life? The reality is, yes. If you use your God-given talents, yes. If you do things, and you do them with goodness, kindness, and truthfully, yes, you can succeed. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. So yes, it does make sense to keep a job. And I'm not saying quit your job. That's not what I'm saying, because some people, that's what you're created to do. You're created to hold these positions. But the idea that you have to do it from this cubicle or from this office space is something that they conditioned you into believing. Because look at 2020. We were able to all work from home. And obviously people thrived if the top 5 white men billionaires in the world continued to double their net worth. Make yourselves more aware. Do more research. Step outside the comfort zone of your life. Stop doing what they want you to do. The algorithm is now created where social media is the biggest thing on this planet, right? And they'll tell you, oh, we got to get rid of TikTok because the kids are on there lying. No, people are just on there telling their truths, and people are getting to see it for the first time in human history. And as a result, yes, to some extent, we're still feeding the system. The social media algorithms keep feeding these systems. You know what that does for them? It allows them, it allows Mark Zuckerberg to become more of a billionaire than he already is. He's doubled his net worth as well. He's now building an underground bunker in Hawaii where thousands of Hawaiians were displaced. He's like, yeah, that's okay. I'm still building my bunker. And he's had people sign NDAs. I think a couple of people must have breached it, which is how we know about it from TikTok, because they're not going to talk about these things on the news that's been bought and paid for. We have to disrupt the system. We have to stop following the norm, because that's the only way we dismantle the master's house. We can't use their tools. Social media is an unnecessary evil for many right now, because it's kind of the only way we can see what's happening. It's kind of the only way we can find the truth of what's happening in the world. But we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We really do. And I mean this with all the love of my heart. I really need you guys to break the algorithm of your life that just says, wake up, go to work, post a couple of things on social media, because that's what you're supposed to do. Social media is telling you content, content, content. Keep pushing out content. Keep showing this, keep showing that. Why? Because they don't want you to see the truth. Because if we all paused and really looked and searched for the truth, it would shock us. If you saw how your favorite billionaires really acted, it would shock you. You'd be like, woof, is that what they do? Not Oprah. What? I know. And I used to not want to give names and say names, but I'm at the point where I'm like, this empire must fall for us all to really start thriving. We can all live nicely and equally. We can all live a good life equally if we chose to dismantle the system as it already is. We can stop saying the rich get richer and everyone to get a slice of the pie. It can happen. It can happen. We all have unique gifts and talents. That's how God created us. We all have unique gifts and talents. We can use them to create a different world. But they don't want you to do that, right? You look at things like, I told somebody this on TikTok recently. Like, when I used to go out to eat in the city, and I think I might have said it on here before, I would always like take my leftovers and, give it, and not the leftovers. Like, I would be mindful, not something I picked in or, but if I had leftovers, to try to find someone to give it to, or even buy them a meal. Like back in the days, pizza used to cost $1. So if there was somebody out there kind of looking hungry, I'd buy a couple of slices and give them 1 or 2 slices, which is something that I've created in my daughter, because I see her doing it all the time where she lives. Is just the same. And I'm so proud of her. But at some point it became illegal. I remember somebody putting up a sign near some of the shelters and saying that it was illegal to give them food. And now I'm watching in Houston as a group of people who are trying to help feed the homeless are being ticketed every day. Again, they're on TikTok talking about it. The news is not going to talk about it. They're being fined $800 or something like that by the city for feeding people. This is the system. This is how they created it. The fact that Black people couldn't get loans, this is how they created it. And then you have somebody like TD Jakes partnering with a known predatory banking system like Wells Fargo to say, oh, I'm trying to help you guys get out. No, you're trying to help line your pockets. That's the reality. You're trying to help line your pockets. You don't care about everybody. You care about yourself and your image and what you look like. These people never wanted to give us loans to buy homes. Hence why so many Black people do not own homes, which is a sad situation, because we had $1 trillion to give towards goods and services, but you had that and you were living in an apartment, driving a Tesla. Make it make sense. Does that sound like something that makes sense to you? No, because it doesn't. And we need to stop, and we need to really do the research and become more aware and make our children aware, so that our children and our children's children can live better. And sure, again, I know prophecy is the end of times, is the end of times. Listen, the end of times could come in 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, or 300 years. We don't know when it's going to happen. So for whatever time we have on this planet together, we need to start becoming more aware and caring more about each other. So let's stop spewing that and start thinking, yes, you know what? Let's just be better humans. Whenever it comes, it comes. But truth be told, being better humans will help you get into heaven, right? Think about it. God, our creator, commands us to love one another, and we're all like, I'm out for self. I'm out for self. Oh, well, that's a surefire way not to get into heaven. I can't think of anything else. I can't think of God sitting there like, oh yeah, well, he made $1 million, so I'm definitely going to bring him in. No, you made a deal with your father, the devil. Okay, I'm talking about DJ Khaled, to be clear. I'm so like, oh, that's a topic for another day. But anyway, we really need to start to become more aware, of the system and how it's been created and what it's doing and how it's dividing us, because that's really what it's doing, right? You have the billionaire class, and then you have the other people, and then you have the people who have nothing. So we're all kind of divided, and we need to come together as community to kind of really reshape and reimagine what it could look like for us if we really said, you know, I care about you. I want to see you thriving. Like I always say, and I say this in business, when you get to a place where you can send the elevator back down, send it down. Send the elevator back down and pull somebody else up. I helped a lot of planners back in the day, Black women who were trying. I helped a lot of them. I gave them resources, and a lot of them have done so well. And I'm so happy. Like I don't view people as my competition. I really don't. There are 7.5 billion people on this planet. You mean to tell me we all can't eat? That's crazy to me. You're not my competition. My only competition is me. I'm trying to be a better designer than I was yesterday, last week, last year, or when I started. I'm trying to be a better planner from when I started. That's my only competition. My old self is my only competition. So we need to start really extending that olive branch. Stop looking at, oh, I got to get out of it. Yes, maybe get out, but you have to help other people get out too. When we listen to the Meek Mills of the world say things like, "Oh, they paid me more money to create this music," you should have been like, "No, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not doing that." You can create the music you want, you feel like your community needs, and we will support you. I really don't understand how we support the Meek Mills and the Rick Rosses. I don't get it. I don't see why we're so disconnected from reality. That is trash music. Anything that is promoting violence or death in our own community is trash music. How are they still thriving? Because of us. Because we give them those platforms. Because we give them our money. We need to turn our backs on these people. It's time we start turning our backs on anybody who's not for the cause. Whether it be human, the Black cause, whatever it is. If you're not for the cause, turn your backs on them. Stop giving them your money. Rick Ross has all these other things that he's created, and we're watching what he does with his, look at what he does with his money. And P.S., Rick Ross wasn't even a drug dealer. He was a corrections officer. He's living a fake life and selling it to us and becoming a millionaire. Crazy. Everyone that listens to that kind of music, you have to ask yourself why. The Sexy Red, all that stuff. Listen, again, whatever you do and whatever you agree, but that's on you. I'm just saying that can't be what we want for our children. Like I said on my episode, For the Love of Hip Hop, where I talked about Queen Latifah, MC, like those were my role models in rap. And I was like, yes, ladies first. We're going to make it. We're going to get out. Don't call me a bitch and all these other things. And we have literally gone backwards in music. Look at what these young girls are talking about. I'm not going to repeat it because my mother watches this. But ew. How could we be making these people millionaires? And we have to question the Black people in the entertainment industry and behind the scenes who are promoting and supporting. It's like, what are you doing? You're bringing our community down. There's a time and place for everything. That's not it. That music is not it. Those girls are young. I can only imagine what they've endured, and I pray for them because I'm sure there's some trauma behind them getting to that success. But again, the love of money, that's greed. And that will never thrive. That will never prosper. Until you do right, all you do will go wrong. So yeah, you can make a couple of dollars and you can maybe survive off those couple of dollars for a while, but a time is coming. And again, sit with this moment because the shift is happening and a time is coming, and all that money and all that wealth and all that whatever it is you have, that greed that you're going for, is going to come crashing down. And I don't want us to be on the wrong side of it. So this is why I keep talking about this thing. Anyway, I think I've talked your ears off. Did I talk about the Fearless Fund? I hope so. If I didn't, please Google the Fearless Fund. See how you can help Ariane and the Fearless Fund. This the guy who ended affirmative action, Edward Bloom. He was the cause of that whole situation. He is the cause of her having to go to, I think she's going to the Supreme Court. So please look into it, do some research, find the Fearless Fund on your social media networks, because that's really what you all do, and figure out how you can support it, because that is something that we need. That is a program that we need within our communities, and that is a give back system that I'm talking about that is important to our community. And find me on socials if you want. I'm on there sometimes. I'm not, I don't really care. I'm not going to promote that. I'm doing well with this. Please keep sharing these messages. I see your shares. I'm so appreciative for them. Um, I'm not trying to monetize off of this. I'm trying to help my community. I love my people. And I mean all people. I love humans, but I love my people, and I want to see us grow. I really do. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to monetize off of this. This is not the purpose of this. When God gave me a purpose, He didn't say, hey, and try to make $1 million off of it. He gave me my gift to make my $1 million. So follow me, find me, share. Please leave reviews on all the apps. This helps for more people to see it. So if you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform, if you're on YouTube, like, comment. That's what helps more people see this stuff. Again, I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to make more people aware. So do that. You know where to find me. As always, I love you, Ma. Call me, and free Palestine.